In this video, I'm going to be going over things only original ARC players will remember. A lot of these are from comments from the previous videos. This is part 3 and there's 2 other parts. I'll have them linked in the description, but you don't have to watch them in any particular order. First off is the center didn't have a Redwoods biome. They added the center, but the entire cliffside area with the huge Redwoods biome, none of that was there at all, and it was added later on. I'm pretty sure the Redwoods wasn't even in the island yet, so that's why, but they ended up adding the Redwoods to the island, and I think they added it to the center afterwards as well. And then we have the old Oblas Terminals. They used to look like this. It's still like this on the center and the Crystal Isles. This just shows you how old Crystal Isles is. But it used to be like this for the island and every single map that was in the game at the time. And I'm really glad they changed it because it was really hard to get Rexes and other dinos on here and actually fit all of them inside because it was just so jagged and all kinds of stuff, and it was lifted off the ground too, so it was really annoying to try and get them on here. So I'm glad they changed it and made it flat and really easy to fit all your dinos in there. Next is the Tech Cave. So when the Tech Cave was first added, I remember they added it and it didn't have an Overseer boss fight, and we didn't know about the boss fight either, so it was just a Tech Cave that they added. You'd go through the whole thing and then you'd do the Ascension at the end with a little portal, and then that was it. There was no Overseer fight or anything. You just get your Ascension right there, which obviously makes it way easier than having to fight the Overseer. And the Overseer would end up being added months later, and I think the reason they didn't add it is because they weren't finished with the Overseer fight, so they just decided to add the Tech Cave anyway, and I'm glad they waited because the Overseer fight ended up being really great. Next is the Moss Chops. Originally you couldn't ride Moss Chops, which made them kind of useless because their harvesting ability you could still use, but basically you had to put them on wander and have them wander in an area and gather it, and it was really annoying, and I don't really think anybody used it. I know I didn't use it. Maybe some people did, but once they made it rideable, it became extremely useful because you could ride it around and harvest all the resources you want because it gets tons of fiber and other resources as well, so it made the Moss Chops extremely useful. I remember getting on one day and then going up to one of my Moss Chops and then it said ride, and I was really confused, and then I rode it, and I remember thinking that it looked really weird the way you rode on it, but I guess I've just gotten used to it over the years. Next thing is Titanoboas. Back with the old kibble system, which I talked about in the first video, every type of animal had kibble, and each one basically you made with eggs, but one of the ones that was the hardest to get was Titanoboas because you couldn't tame the Titanoboa, but you needed Titanoboa eggs for multiple creatures, and there were creatures that you really wanted, so Titanoboa eggs were extremely valuable and extremely hard to get since you couldn't tame them at all. People would make traps for them and basically have huge pens where a bunch of Titanoboas could circle around, and then they would go basically drop eggs, and then you'd have to drop in there and grab all the eggs without getting attacked by them, and it was quite crazy. And once they made them tameable, it made it way easier, and then they removed the kibble system entirely, which basically made all of this redundant. And then we have the old Volcano. This is probably the one I got the most comments about, and I'm surprised I didn't include it in the old ones, but basically the Volcano didn't have the Tech Cave, so this was even before that old Tech Cave thing I was talking about. And then it just didn't have any of the lava. It was just a flat little plateau, and it was full of metal. It was the best metal spot in the entire game easily. You could come here and get as much metal as you possibly needed because it was just littered throughout here. And it looks weird looking at it now, just having this really flat area, but it was kind of a cool spot. And I remember I built one of my first bases here, and I had it so I could get a bunch of metal, and then I logged on one day to find out that my entire base is just gone because they were about to update and add the Tech Cave, which I didn't know about, so I was just horrified when I logged on and my entire base was gone. Luckily, it was only half of my base. I had the other half, on the other side of the island, but I still lost half of my base and all my good resources and metal and stuff. Next, we have the old vaults. Basically, vaults used to be way bigger, as you can see by the size comparison. On the right is the new vaults, and on the left is the original vaults. They were absolutely massive, and it was absolutely crazy. Also, you couldn't pick them up either because that was how the old building system was. So you had these huge vaults, and if you messed up the placement, you couldn't pick them up. You had to demolish them, so it was quite important, and they were absolutely huge, and you couldn't fit them anywhere, and I'm so glad they made them smaller because you can actually fit them into places and actually have them in your builds now. And then we have the old menu. This was very similar to the old UI, which I mentioned in the first video, but I didn't want to mention it because it is a little bit different. As you can see right here, they were both changed in the same update, I'm pretty sure, but it was a lot different, this old menu. And I remember having the maps in the top left, because when I started, I think there was only 3 maps. There was the center, the island, and Scorched Earth, which you can see right here. And also the island was just called the Ark. It wasn't called the island yet, which was very interesting, because I remember the update where they changed it to the island, because it actually had a name other than just the Ark now. But yeah, I definitely remember this old menu. But that's going to be it for this video. It's definitely been fun doing these videos in this series. and a lot of people have seemed to enjoy and comment on them quite a bit. So if you have some more suggestions that aren't in the all 3 of these parts, then let me know. If I find enough, I might make a part 4, but I'm starting to run out of things to talk about when it comes to the original things, but I'm sure I could find enough for a part 4. But that's gonna be it. If you guys did enjoy, make sure to leave a like and also subscribe. Thanks for watching, and bye.